Welcome to another edition of Bases and Balls with my good friend Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus. And Rosie, one thing that's really evident here, and I thought maybe we could expand a little bit, and I know Stephen Vogt was talking about it during the games, is we've seen player development with the Guardians organization. And the one area that I wanted to touch on is sometimes these guys come up, and I don't know if it's jitters, they are young men or they need to make adjustments, but they go down, they come up. For example, Kyle Manzardo. For example, Brian Rocchio. A couple of these other guys have sent down, Joey Cantillo have been sent down, and then they come back up, and you can tell that they've gone to work. And that's a credit, I think, a tip of the cap to the organization. And I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about what you've seen pitch by pitch with these developments of these young ball players.
Well, Ray, I think what happens is if they go down with the right attitude, and the three players you mentioned absolutely did, they have an idea of what they need to work on because they may have struggled at the major league level, but they go down to Columbus with a clear plan because now they know what the major leagues is and what the challenges are, so they can go work on that at AAA. And yes, the competition might not be as good at the AAA level, but you can still most definitely work on things. And I think all three of those guys went down there, Manzardo a year ago and Rocchio and Cantillo this year, and really worked on the things that they were asked to work on and came back different players and much to the good in terms of what they need to do to be successful at this level. So that's the biggest key. You know, they have to buy in, which is hard when they're telling you you're going to the minor leagues. But if they can go down with the right attitude, which by all accounts all three did, you can get some good things done. And I think we see the results now up here.
It was probably a difficult decision for the organization to release Carlos Santana. He's done so much for the organization through the years, but they had to get Manzardo out into the field. And I was at the game on Wednesday night, and I've seen some improvement of him around the first base bag as compared to, say, back in April, May. And they had to get him out there to see what he can do.
They do, and he still has a ways to go. There's some balls that have been getting by him that it's probably unfair to say Santana would have picked, but Carlos Santana made himself into a really good first baseman. And when you think about it, when he first moved over there, remember he was a catcher when the Guardians got him, Indians got him, and then moved to third base for a little bit, and that didn't work out. And when he first moved to first, he wasn't the defensive player that he was a year ago when he won the Gold Glove, but he worked awfully hard at it. And that's the key for Manzardo. He's working hard at it. It's still a work in progress, but you're right. I think he has made some progress, and they'll keep working with him because it helps if he can play first base and not be a full-time DH.
Jim Rosenhaus with us, bases and balls. Rosie, we mentioned Cantillo, but it looks like Stephen Vogt going with almost a six-man rotation here down the stretch drive of the season. You know, talk about him expanding those starting pitchers a little bit and the reasoning behind that.
Well, he is going with a six-man rotation, that's for sure, and it's worked out great. I think they just got to the point. Most of the starters are at or above innings plateaus that they've ever reached in the major leagues. So they want to make sure that they stay fresh down the stretch so that extra day each time through is helpful. They wanted to get Cantillo in the rotation because they felt strongly about what he had been doing before he went to Columbus. And then, I think they just wanted to get him back here. But it's just a chance to manage innings without shutting pitchers down. And, when you look at it, the Guardians have six starting pitchers that they feel really good about. Most other teams that they're in contention with here down the stretch, they are battling through pitching injuries, unavailable pitchers, pitchers who are way over their innings limits that they're starting to cut back. So, I know they've struggled offensively, but they certainly seem to have an advantage pitching wise, especially starting pitching wise, compared to most other teams.
Rosie, this next couple of weeks is going to be a lot of fun. I know I'll be at the game this coming Sunday. I'll also be up on the 24th for that matchup against Detroit. Can't wait to get there because it can be exciting with this wild card, man. We've got Detroit for six, and of course, those last three games against Texas. And when you look at the wild card, there's Seattle, Texas, and Cleveland right there.
Yeah, they're all right there in that mix, and you still can't discount Kansas City as obviously they're trying to stay relevant if they can, but it is fascinating just how it has changed seemingly day by day where you feel like now it's insurmountable, and then the next day it's like, well, wait a minute, let's look at the schedule here and this, that, and the other thing. So for the Guardians, they got three with the White Sox, four with the Twins, two teams that have had miserable seasons. And Ray, the other thing you mentioned, the Tigers, if they wrap up the division before those three home games here on the last homestand against Detroit, who knows what they'll do if they're in playoff prep mode and not necessarily trying to wrap up a division mode, who they're playing, things like that. It could be really, really interesting for the Guardians down the stretch.
No doubt about it. And you heard the action right here with Rosie here on WAKR. Rosie, my friend, as always, thanks for making time with us this week on Bases and Balls, and we'll do it again next week.
You got it, Ray. Thank you.